The monsoon rain seemed like green away after being soaked for 5 straight days. The rice seedlings turned a deep green, even to their first leaves. The seedlings, once planted but left without water, had been unable to take root and were turning yellow and withering away. The rice fields, which he once didn't even want to take care of it, had now become the steward's only hobby. As the days cleared up, every evening, without fail, he would walk around them, watching the green and healthy seedlings grew fresher and livelier each time he saw them. It was truly adorable, just as he couldn't stop thinking about his lady-born son Myung-ho. He felt a strong attachment to the rice seedlings. Whenever he went out to the fields, seeing the healthy and perfect seedlings made him feel at ease. Every time he came and went, he kept wondering with worry and concern. Is Myung-ho fighting with the other children? These anxious thoughts kept coming and going in his mind. Today, something unusual had clearly occurred at the corner of the rice field. On the muddy ridge, circular marks made by a tool, like a small net, used by children to catch fish, were lined up like Olympic rings. Below that, in the connected area, where water flows from the upper field to the lower field, the puddles swirled and turned murky in places. In these places, the water could not flow straight down. It seems that the children had been fishing there again. It is a relief that the rice seedlings remain undamaged, but the children's mischief, even after being warned every day, is frustrating. I need to warn them firmly, or they might end up tramping the seedlings again someday. With this thought in mind, he crossed over the bank. Beyond the bank, in the swamp, the children were splashing around like ducklings, playing noisily. The swamp is dangerous, and they've been warned that it will eventually be filled in. But the kids don't listen at all. They wander around the edge of the field, catching fish, making a mess of the muddy ridges, and then crossing into the swamp, as if it's the next step in their usual mischief. If I were to sneak over the hill without a sound and gather up all their clothes, they wouldn't be able to run away and would instead come chasing after me, begging. Thinking this, he carefully placed his footsteps and ran forward. However, this wasn't the first or second time. It was something they always experienced. They knew well by now that, at this time, it was his usual routine to circle round the rice field once before coming to scold them. They must have been extra cautious, keeping watch for him as he approached to catch them while they were bathing. Before he could even reach the edge of the field, one of them suddenly sprang out of the water, grabbed their clothes in a hurry, and ran away. At this point, the other boys also caught on to what was happening, shouting, "Run!" They burst out of the water and scared. Having failed to catch even a single one, the steward had no choice but to yell to scare them off. "You can run, but you can't hide. Catch those brats!" he shouted, stomping his foot. But that was all he could do. He wasn't one to chase them for long. The children glanced back over their shoulders and began to slow their steps. The children's attitude, not even caring about an adult's words, made him feel all the more frustrated. Couldn't I at least catch one of them? Thinking this, he ran after them. Suddenly, a burst of anger surged through him. But unlike the children, he couldn't quickly and skillfully dodge his way along the uneven, bumpy red path. By the time he reached the swamp, the children had already scurried and disappeared to wherever they were headed. However, it seemed that in their sudden escape, some of them had left their clothes behind. The bundles of mud-covered clothes lay on the ledge, which was strangely satisfying. "You brats are really in for it now." Shouting this, the steward grabbed both bundles of clothes in one fist and tied them tightly with his belt. It seemed that over there, in the stream, a naked boy was hiding, unable to flee any farther. He cautiously bobbed his head up and down, stealing glances at the steward to gauge his reaction. "You little rascals, do you think you can leave your clothes behind, then just walk back home like that? You won't be able to do that, will you? You will have to come here and ask for your clothes back." Thinking this, he shook the clothes roughly, wrinkling them, as if to tease the boy, who was watching nervously. After that, he looked around and spied where the other one was hiding. In the swamp, there was a spot where the water strangely rippled. Was it because anyone in their hurry couldn't get out and simply crouched down to hide underwater? He kept watching, but that didn't seem to be the case. Judging by the two hands barely sticking out of the water, waving desperately in the air, a boy must have fallen into a deep hole and was struggling to get out. "Chesapeake!" Steward shouted toward Chesapeake, who was working in the field across the stream. "Someone has fallen into the water. Come quickly. Hurry!" It wasn't exactly a distance, close enough for such shouts to carry clearly. Just Bang only guessed that the steward was calling for him, but he couldn't make out what was being said, and tilted his head in confusion, as if to ask again.
What? Are you calling me? Me?
Jasabang replied, with a puzzled expression. Someone's drowning. Stop asking questions, and just hurry up and get over here. The steward shouted as loudly as he could, but even then, the boy still didn't carry clearly to Jasabang. It wasn't until he saw the frantic hand gestures that he realized it was urgent. Only then did he draw down his hoe and prepare to run. The hands in the water kept reaching out helplessly, endlessly, struggling in the air as if fleeting to be saved. The steward's impatience made Chasabang's running steps feel slow. Hey, can't you wade into that swamp and save him? Hoping perhaps to borrow the strength of the boy, who had been hiding in the water, watching nervously, he shouted. The naked boy, already curious to see who had fallen into the swamp, while watching the steward shouting, had been eager to go. But the fear of getting into trouble held him back. As soon as the steward's words fell, the boy came running and said, Over there? You've crossed this swamp plenty of times, haven't you? The steward asked. But even I can't go in the middle. It's too deep there. The naked boy replied. Then, as if trying to figure out who it might be, the naked boy kept watching the hands, splashing and struggling in the water. Steward, isn't the person who fell in the water Myung-ho? The naked boy suddenly widened his eyes, as if he couldn't help but be surprised. I looked up at the steward. Huh? What? The steward said in surprise. Well, earlier, the other kids ran out when you scolded them. But Myung-ho said the swamp belonged to his father and insisted on staying there, saying he'd keep playing. The boy said. What? The steward couldn't continue speaking. The steward, not knowing what to do, started forward and back in agitation, then hurriedly untied the bundle of clothes he had been holding, a pair of white lamy trousers and a bright yellow hanbok top. Clearly, they were Myung-ho's clothes, which had been put on them earlier. Those are Myung-ho's clothes, right? The naked boy asked curiously, still unsure. But the steward didn't hear him at all. Without even a moment to take off his clothes, he jumped straight into the water. But the hands that had been visible just moments ago, struggling desperately, were nowhere to be seen anymore. On the surface of the water, only small leafers moved gently, carrying a water spider with them. There was no other movement. He had no choice but to feel around in the water, guessing where to search. After a long while, he finally found something solid. It was clearly the boy. Warmth could still be felt in his hands. The steward grabbed hold on him and brought him out. He laid the boy down on the bank and tried to get him to spill out the water. But the boy's neck hung loosely, moving without strength. If I had known it was Myung-ho, I would have jumped in right away without calling Chasuban. With a sigh of regret, the steward stared blankly at Myung-ho's lifeless body, as if completely out of his senses.